Hello, friends. This is Professor Googler. On my channel, you mostly watch videos about the beautiful world around us. But today, it's a little different. What is it about? Keep watching to find out.
Brian Stanley. When Brian Stanley, an engineer from California, lost his eye due to cancer, he decided not to settle for a regular prosthetic. He turned his fake eye into a flashlight. And it looks so cool that it's hard to believe. But the invention is real. The man literally turned himself into a cyborg. Granted, it's still a relatively primitive version, not at the level of cyberpunk. But for the year 2022, it's impressive. The eye flashlight illuminates the area directly in front of Brian's head, where he turns. Brian himself calls his invention a titanium skull lamp. The inventor also notes that it's great for reading in the dark. We think the invention is equally useful late at night when you need to walk home alone, go down to the basement, or find things in the far corner of a closet. The flashlight is activated by a proximity sensor. The first thing that comes to mind is that the eye must get significantly heated. Moreover, it is located close to the brain, which could be dangerous. But Brian claims that the eye doesn't heat up at all, and the battery can last up to 20 hours. Its intensity can also be adjusted, for example, to activate high beam. Brian experiments with colors and even pupil shapes. For example, on the last Halloween, he made pupils in the shape of ghosts and pumpkins. This year, he crafted an amazing Jack Skellington eye. Rob Spence. Rob Spence, also known as iBob, has installed a camera in his eye socket. It all started when Rob was a child and lost an eye due to a shotgun accident. Several years ago, his injured eye started swelling, causing severe damage to the cornea. Doctors informed him that the eye would have to be removed. That's when Rob came up with the idea of creating a tiny camera that could replace his eye and record everything he sees. Rob reached out to several camera manufacturers and engineers and quickly realized there was something to this idea. The engineers were excited to design the miniature camera. After all, it would be the first time people had done something like this. It would make headlines in all the newspapers. And they created the camera. Thanks to a miniature transmitter, it uses an analog, rather than a digital, signal. Everything the camera records can be transmitted to a screen, such as a television. Of course, Rob doesn't use the camera all the time, that would be pointless. The battery charge lasts for a maximum of 30 minutes. So with the eye camera, Rob can shoot short films. And once again, with a bionic eye, it's hard to resist trying on the persona of some famous cyborg. Over the years, Rob has created several versions of the eye, from a red one like the T800s to a camera with a transparent shell that reveals the inner part of the eye. James Young. Meet James Young. About 10 years ago, he found himself between two train carriages. The incident cost James his limbs, both arms and legs. For a while, the injuries left him completely incapacitated, both physically and psychologically. But video games helped him cope with all the challenges. Prior to the accident, James was a gamer, and even after losing his limbs, he could still play PlayStation 4 with his right hand and, surprisingly, with his teeth. Yes, James was truly devoted to gaming. Penny, a character from the sitcom, The Big Bang Theory, oh my god, I need help. James's story is quite well known. He was chosen from among 60 candidates to receive a fantastic prosthetic inspired by the Metal Gear Solid game from Konami, a leading video game developer. It's not just a prosthetic, it's made of 70,000 carbon fibers controlled by James's muscle signals. With the prosthetic, he can shake hands, lift objects, and even pick up coins. Additionally, the prosthetic is equipped with an interactive screen, a flashlight, a USB port, and even a drone. All of this is powered by a battery. James mentions that it's impossible to walk all day with a 10-kilogram hand attached by special straps, even though an average human hand weighs about the same. But he clearly knows better. You might be wondering why a robotic hand needs a drone. We don't have an answer to that question. But in any case, it looks cool. As prosthetic technology advances, prosthetics become more and more unique. Polish company Glaze Prosthetics manufactures designer 3D printed hand prosthetics. These prosthetics are fully customizable, allowing individuals with amputated limbs to tailor the prosthesis to their needs. As stated on the company's website, there is nothing shameful about the absence of a hand. On the contrary, it is an opportunity to express yourself and your style. The design of the prosthetics is individualized for each person. The prosthetic can make you resemble Tony Stark from Iron Man with his iconic suits. The company has already produced hand prosthetics with compartments for mobile phones and flashlights, as well as models with built-in speakers. Want a hand prosthesis with a flipper or a real tattoo? No problem. Glaze Prosthetics can make it happen. The company claims that the only limitation in creating prosthetics is human imagination. International company Motorica has gone even further. Their hand prosthetics not only have individualized designs but also allow efficient use of spoons, forks, and even ballpoint pens. With Motorica's prosthetics, a person can work with industrial equipment and perform most daily tasks. The prosthesis can be equipped with contactless payment chips or GSM modules. This means that you can magically wave your hand over a terminal, and your purchases will be paid for. Isn't that the future? Trevor Prideaux: in today's world, the idea of integrating a smartphone into a prosthesis seems very logical. How can a person live without a smartphone today? It's an indispensable device. However, people didn't think that way in 2011. But then Trevor Prideaux from the UK became the first person in the world to have a docking station for a mobile phone integrated into his prosthetic hand. Trevor was born without his left forearm and learned to live with it, but using a phone was challenging. He had to find a way to hold the phone with his prosthesis or place it on a flat surface to dial a number or type a text message. Inconveniently, Trevor reached out to Apple for help, but the company refused to develop a customized prosthesis. Nokia came to the rescue. They integrated a docking station into the prosthesis. Now, Trevor can easily send messages with one hand, make calls by bringing the prosthesis to his ear, or use the loudspeaker. Jerry Gulliver: in 2009, programmer Jerry Gulliver installed a USB flash drive in place of his lost fingertip. It sounds like a Halloween costume idea, to be honest. Jerry indeed lost a part of his ring finger on his left hand after hitting a deer while riding a motorcycle. He quickly learned to type without one finger, even without a prosthesis, but he decided to come up with something unique. For example, attaching a flash drive there. The flash drive can be used by bending the nail on the prosthesis. Jerry uses the flash drive to store photos and various computer programs. The artificial finger is detachable, so he can leave it connected to the computer. Nadia Vesey. Among all the stories today, the story of Nadia Vesey is the most striking. Due to an illness, both of her legs were amputated, one at the age of 7 and the other at 16. Throughout her life, she wore prosthetics that she only removed before swimming. But one day, a little boy approached her and asked why she had no legs, and instead of lengthy and sad explanations, Nadia said she was a mermaid. Inspired by her own words, Nadia decided to approach engineers from a special effects company that had received several Oscars for their work on the film, Lord of the Rings. She wanted to know if they could create a mermaid tail prosthesis for her to use while swimming. The company gladly agreed. 2 years and nearly 800 hours of work later, Nadia received an extraordinary prosthesis made of neoprene and plastic, covered with a special lycra sock that shimmered with digital scales. It took her several years to adapt to the prosthesis and learn to swim more like a dolphin than a human. Now, Nadia feels the tail as a part of her body. And it's wonderful. Kelly Knox. While some people want to become mermaids, others may want to become octopuses. The project to create alternative prosthetics can make that happen. By the way, it's the same project by the company that gave James Young the drone prosthesis. For the model Kelly Knox, the company designed a prosthetic that resembles a tentacle or vine. It's hard to tell. Kelly uses it not as a functional tool but as an accessory for self-expression. However, it's not just an ordinary accessory hanging on a person. The tentacle has 26 vertebrae and moves as if it were alive, thanks to sensors in Kelly's shoes. The sensors are located beneath her big toes, causing the tentacle to move from side to side and bend. By applying different pressures to the sensors, Kelly can control the speed and direction of movement. From a practical standpoint, the prosthesis is not very useful, as far as we understand. But it's not about practicality, it's about self-expression.
Friends, don't hesitate to write comments under the video about what else you would like to learn. I will definitely fulfill your wish. Bye for now.